You're not even funny. I've never cared for the whole emoting thing. How's it going, Zerusio? Alright, guys, I'm about to kick off the podcast. As always, the floor is open. You guys are free to pose your questions. I'm going to try and pull some topics from the forums as I go. Today it's just me. I didn't really get any answers back, plus the fact I've been sick for 2 weeks, so I didn't really have a chance to touch base with a whole lot of people. But we'll try to, have a pleasant enough conversation, put some ideas out there. As always, at the end of it, I condense everything down, put it up on YouTube, and I send a copy to the devs so that they can listen in on the topics and ideas that you guys put forward. And who knows, your idea could end up being put into the game. You never know. Sky's pretty much the limit on everything. I am going to disable my dashboard alerts simply because I do not want those going off in the middle of me talking or somebody asking a question. As you can see, we've been fighting in high pass for quite a while. But one of the things that was brought up, I do want to try to touch on some stuff. One of the things that's been brought up in previous podcasts, people are like, well, what's the deal with the ability system? Why aren't they working on, fixing chopper pulls and Mara stuff? A lot of that has been shoved to the wayside simply because they're devoting their time and energy to making sure that the ability system is working fully. The easiest thing I'd say to do would be to check out episode 6 podcast. We'll fill you in on a lot of details there, and at least you'll hear what Max and Dalen and others or the kind of the direction that they're going with things. So if you're wanting to know that would be the easiest way to touch base on that. I'm gonna open the floor up. I know AB, you've got your question. I'll probably start with that first. But anybody else got any ideas as far as what you think would be good steps to say address the PvP in the lakes or the PvP in the scenarios? I know one of the forum topics has been heavily extensive about the constant people running into premates. Honestly, I don't think there's ever going to be a time when you're not going to run into them at some point, especially in the scenarios. And from everything that I've gathered, and it's, most people understand this, we do not have the population as a server to be able to split the community to put one bunch in one setup and one in another. Even though I know a lot of people keep asking about that. And that was something I got asked to bring up. So my question to you guys is, what do you think? What would be some valid, legit ways to try and address the lakes to maybe get some more interest in actually, playing the objectives end of it and actual going for the keeps? I've touched on this in some other podcasts, but hadn't really heard a lot of the thoughts back on it, or a lot of people they just don't even want to talk about it. So I'm trying to encourage some new ideas, fresh approach to it. So any thoughts you guys would like to share, feel free to put them in the chat. Me, honestly, I would, and this has also been talked about in previous podcasts, is that, maybe up the reward for the actually staying and defending the BO, not just capping it, but actual stay and defending it. Same with the keeps, and some people say, well, this will get abused because people will figure, they won't defend the keep. Well, my suggestion there would be to hard lock the keeps and forts to where there's a default reward for the winner and loser. instead of it being where one side can simply decide, oh, well, we're not going to fight, so it completely messes up the other side. And I've seen that done quite a bit. Granted, I've seen Destro do it more than Order, but I have seen Order do it too. I see what you said there, Cause. It's a possibility. I mean, it's something needs to happen to try and change the mindset. Another thing that I would love to see go away is the kill board. I swear that has done nothing but encourage the worst part of the gameplay, because all people want to focus on is their personal kills. It's up on the RoR webpage. It's been there for a while. If you ever wanted to see why some of the fights drag out the way they do, it's because they're going after their kills to pad those numbers. They're stat chasers is what I like to call them. And I've never cared for that method of play because it leads to some extremely toxic mindsets. Yeah, it's a problem in any game. I would prefer they did away with the kill board. It's not, honestly, I don't think it's needed. But it's still a valid thing. One of the things Max touched on, and I'm gonna bring this into place for those of you that haven't watched the VOD of it, episode 6. Max brought into play the fact that, well, what if there were 2 more cities, or if a change to the campaign to where the cities would rotate which city is available for siege. So say Altdorf was up for siege one time, then Khazra Karik would be up for siege the next time, which that's already in the works. Zale, appreciate the raid there, buddy. Welcome on in. Just you caught me mid-conversation on the podcast. We're touching on some of the topics on the forums, such as ways to address the PvP in the lakes and stuff. Maybe encourage, more fighting on the BOs and actual going for the objective of taking the keep. Just try to change things up a little bit. And I was touching on the fact that Max had pointed something out. One of the things he was he's apparently toying around with the idea of is that, Khazra Karik is slated to be added as a siegeable city. So is 8 Peaks, from what I understand from what Max was saying in that podcast. So the thing was that as an incentive to actually take the city, make it to where, say, if you take Altdorf as Destro, you actually hold the city for a little while, and it opens up dungeons that are set up for Destro. So there's actually a reason to go after the city and hold it, because there's dungeons and stuff you'll be able to do to be able to get it done, like a Destro version of sewers or CNT. That was something that he had touched on, just as a way to, increase the motivation of doing cities and make it worthwhile. I like the idea. I mean, obviously it would need a lot of tinkering and messing around with, because you'd want it to work right, not, just create more chaos. So there is that. I mean, there's always going to be little issues to work out. That's why they're spending all the time on the ability system. And I've seen some of the work done because I've actually helped test some of the new abilities on some of the classes. I would say watch that podcast again and listen real close to what Max is saying and how he's saying it. And I think that there's the idea that there's once they get the ability system rolled out, I think one of the things Max had touched on is more gear, some more cosmetic skins to give you a little bit more of a variety. I mean, you guys have seen some of that with the dyes they did this past event. I mean, you know, the whole fashion hammer thing. It's also a chance for newer people to see something different. It's not just for the people that are geared out. There's a lot of things that's being worked on. I wish I could say more, and I can't. But there's lots of things planned. There's dungeons that they're working on. Max has said this before. They've got plans to get the rest of the Lost Veil out, or get the rest of Hunter's Veil and all of that done. All those dungeons. There's some idea, I believe there's some tinkering to be done with Land of the Dead. Maybe open it up to where it's PvE accessible when it's not being fought for. Also, you got Tomb of the Vulture Lord is a work in progress, but there's no ETA on that. There's a lot of issues to work out. Max has also discussed that. So there's things in the work, new content, things they want to add in and address. Everything hinges around getting this ability system fleshed out to where it works right. Because they don't want to roll it out and it not work. Because then it's just going to be people belly aching about, it's just another broken aspect. So they are trying their best to make sure that doesn't happen. So to that end, they're listening to what you guys are saying. And one of the chief complaints has been is that, don't release anything else unless you have it working. And then there's a lot of stuff that they're still trying to hammer out that is spaghetti coding, so it's going to take them time to figure it out. If they can fix it. Or if they have to try and completely come up with something new. So, let me address the question ABQ put forward, guys. Question. Would it be feasible to get a dungeon queue with cross-realm support a lot like ranked solo? Would let Destro try out Order CNT and let Order try Destro equivalent. Also would be fun to group in PvE with the other side. That idea has been shot down, from what I understand, because there's a lot of people who are dead set against that. They're like, no, they don't even like the rank idea of where you can play with the other faction, because basically it's just boiled down to set people maximizing. They're basically playing to the stats that work best in the best combination, like an IB tank with a chopper and a Slayer combo and stuff like that. So that idea has been, for the most part, from what I understand, it's been rejected. It may be readdressed later on down the road, but I don't know how well that would work, given that ranked has not been that popular, except to a very small percentage of the community. You got a valid point there. I mean, that would be interesting. But you would have to make it solely locked to the PvE end of it and make sure you don't leave any way for people to try to abuse it, because they would. Well, if you catch me when I'm not doing anything, AB, or even when I'm streaming, if you can get a crew together, I can help, try and help. I've told people this plenty of times, and a lot of people don't ever get back to me. I'm like, I can't create a group, but I can help out if you want to start putting one together. I mean, I got a tank, I got 2 DPS, I got a ranged and a melee, and I got healers. I got a warrior priest and a rune priest. It takes a lot of patience, and it also depends on the time of day you're trying to put it together. I mean, let's face it, you got a lot of people that are extremely resentful of anything to do with PvE. You mention PvE and they start whinging. Me personally, I don't mind PvE. Hey, you want to do a gun bad run? You want to do a Bastion Stair run? Sure, let's roll. Not to mention some of your best in slot gear comes from those dungeons. Which is what gets me with people, how they want to sit there and say, oh, there's nothing useful from the dungeons. That is completely not true. So you pick a day when you want to do a run, AB, and let me know in advance. I'll be there. Or just tag me when, even if I'm streaming. Some of my older VODs, you can see where I was doing dungeon runs during streams. When the PvP stagnates or something, I'll go do something else. I enjoy all aspects of this game, not just the PvP. Check it out, guys. Do more, stress less with Magic Mind. World's first productivity shot. Designed to promote more focus in your day-to-day activities and last longer and let you get more stuff done. So there may be a solid idea with that. I mean, to make it cross-realm for the dungeons, maybe to put, make it easier to get groups together. It's, for me, who I do dungeon guides and stuff, it would help out. Because I could put together a team of 1 or 2 Destro mixed with a few Order and go do the dungeon. So you would just, it's definitely got an idea, and I'll make sure to point that out in the edit and stuff. And if I get a chance, I'll put word in and, put the idea in Rubius's head. Say, hey, think about this. What do you think? Since I do have access to the tester, I can at least ask a question or put forward an idea. Now, whether it gets listened to or not, I cannot promise that. I am not part of the dev team. Oh, there's no worries. I mean, like I said, the devs do watch these streams. So that's why I started doing it, because I actually reached out to them and I ran the idea past them, told them what I was going to do, and I said it's going to be an open forum, as long as it's legit questions. So anyone else got any input to put forward on what AB has suggested? Maybe cross-factioning the dungeons. That way it'd be easier for people to get gear or to get groups and do stuff. Because I know that there's a number of people out there that do enjoy PvE. It's not a bad idea, but I know that it's been brought up before. There's just, as soon as you start mentioning cross faction anything, it's gotten some really mixed reviews and responses. So, it's worth the shot. That's true. I mean, yeah, that could definitely be a thing, cause another thing that I would say help, and I know Max has responded to me on this because he's even agreed that an account-wide friend system would be nice. So that way, when you add a person, you're not having to add them on every single character you got. It'll just add it to a master friends list, and that would be it. Who knows? Maybe they could actually do something in the way of creating a dungeon finder where you can queue up, be doing your other stuff, and people can see that, hey, this is what you're looking for, because not everybody pays attention to that LFG channel. That's one of the reasons why when I see people advertising groups, I tend to relay it in my stream so that anybody watching will know about it. There's been a couple of times people have gotten groups because of that. So again, ideas, suggestions, however you want to look at it. I mean, a lot of people were like, well, you're just an order only. You only ever want stuff done strictly for order. Yes, I'm an order main player, yes. I have a destro character. I don't PvP with it, though. It is solely for doing quest guides and dungeon guides. It's also how I worked on the kill collector quests for both factions. And when I say, to be clear, as far as the kill collectors go, I actually went and wrote the quests and had to rewrite some quests or finish them out to where they had never even been done. So once they get fully implemented, you start doing the kill collector quests. That's something that I actually had a hand in doing. And if you ever do the tier 2 ironclad scenario, you're going to get to see two of the characters, or one of the characters that I named. It's technically 2, because Korgog Sail Puncher is actually modeled after my buddy Krotuck, who is in the Sea of Thieves directory. It was originally supposed to be Krogog, and in the naming process it got messed up and ended up as Korgog. But Grundig Hookshot, that name is of my own creation because it's actually modeled after one of my D&D characters by the name of Grim the Slaughterer. So I enjoyed doing that for the community. Did it earn me any special privileges? I will flat out say it right now, no. Don't want any special privileges, didn't ask for none. I got asked if I could help. I said yes, and that's all there is to it. There were no strings, nothing. I happened to volunteer, and the rest, as they say, is history. Same way I volunteered my time to do the quest guides, which are all linked in. 2 of them are linked on the RoR Wiki webpage, and then the other 2 are on the forums under general discussion, because I don't know if Rubius has had time to link them just yet. Or you can access them directly from my stream chat, whether I'm streaming or not. Such as, here's the IC guide. I'll go ahead and link all 4. Here is Altdorf. Here is Karaze Kerik. And here is Carrot 8 Peaks. And if you pay attention to the special section for thank yous, if you happen to ever see any of those people wandering around in the world, say thank you. Because they helped me do a lot of stuff when I couldn't do it solo. So lots of helpful information, lots of solid ideas. I like that. Again, the idea with the cross faction dungeons, I would definitely say is something that should be explored. Maybe it could revitalize interest in the PvE aspect of the game. You never know. Sometimes all it takes is just light a spark, and it could ignite new interest. The other thing is, guys, and this is something I will ask. When you're out there, in other streams, if you watch anything else on Twitch other than Warhammer, spread the word about RoR. Don't go into somebody's channel and start advertising without asking them first. Just if you see an opportunity, like somebody starts talking about something Warhammer related, say, hey, if you like Warhammer, check this out. But always make sure you ask for permission from the streamer before you try to post anything. Don't ever go into somebody's chat and just start spamming stuff, because you will catch a ban real fast. I do have a question as a whole for the community. The new quests that Rubius and them have worked on and added in, like for professions and stuff that's been added over the last couple of months. What do you guys think of that stuff so far? There's like new quests in some of the starting zones, cities, to help you with professions and other stuff. Kind of help get you going. Has anyone had a chance to check them out? Or are you not yet aware of them? Yeah, best thing I'd say to do, check out podcast episode 6. Rubius discusses it and gives the locations of where you can find those quests. But there's quests in the cities and some of the starting zones that were added. That'd be right up your alley, Kaz. So what do you guys think of, newer quests being added? I mean, like with the last event, what did you guys think of the dyes and stuff that were added? I mean, a lot of people play this game for the fashion hammer end of it, which is, it's legit. You get geared, and you want your character to be unique and stand out. So a lot of people spend an enormous amount of gold and time customizing their characters. And what would you guys think of more armor type skins in the game? Like, say, something for Nurgle or Slaanesh or Zinich or the other Chaos Gods, or the armor types for the Norsicans. Does anybody have any questions they would like to put forward? I mean, if you don't feel comfortable typing out an open chat, you're more than welcome to DM me, and I'll answer it. I won't read the name, not unless you want me to. But that's the whole point of these podcasts, guys, is I want you guys to put forward ideas. The more ideas you come up with, solid, legit ideas, it gets to the devs, and it's a permanent record for them to be able to pull up, and on their end they could theory craft about it, or they could hear particular ideas such as the cross faction dungeons, and They may send a question or two, or they may pop in, ask a question just randomly. You never know. Come on, people, move. That's one thing I really wish they would do away with, is your own faction body blocking you. The collision, I wish that was not a thing. That is a legit thing that I have died so many times that where somebody will block me in and they will not move. Unfortunately, there, cause I don't think that's ever going to be something that's legit going to get considered, simply because blobbing and zerging is still a legitimate combat method. The collision system, as far as if you're with an enemy, sure, but I'm talking about when you're getting stuck and pinned by your own people. It's just, that's annoying. And so far to date, that whole collision thing has never worked for me with dealing with Wii's. Yeah, okay, I've misunderstood you. But yeah, I don't like the idea of with the collision system, and it causes the problems it does, because I don't see a reasoning for it. I could understand if you're doing a shield wall against the enemy faction, and then they got collision and they can't push past you. Sure, that I could get. I just don't see the point in where it nails your own faction with it. Kind of like right there. I go up the steps. Yep, it's like a complete roadblock. Yeah, after a couple of seconds you move, but that initial stop is just ridiculous. And I don't know how many times I've seen people sit there and they'll deliberately use one of their own people as a shield just so they can keep DPSing. And when they die, then they take off. I'm like, yeah, that's real brilliant. I've had it done to me more times than I care to count as a healer. And that is catastrophic to have that happen when you're fighting. Now another question that I saw that was posed to me via the forums. People have asked me repeatedly, well, are you ever gonna have? We would like to see more of the warband leaders. Okay, I'm gonna put this out here for all the world to hear. The door is open for all warband leaders to DM me about being on the show. Be you Destro or Order, I don't care. I have asked, I've put out feelers and told people, ask them, let them know, hey, it's open. The idea is that if you come on the show, have valid talking points. This isn't a place for you to come and bash the other faction or bash a person or the devs. I will not let you do that. If you try, you will catch the banhammer. Or at the very least be timed out. So fair warning. I get that, cause, and I'm trying to combat that mindset. I'm just putting it out there because I've had a lot of people that have come to me with a legit question and I'm answering it. As I said I would. They asked, why haven't you asked any warband leaders? I have asked. I had Evil on here not about 3 weeks ago. I just have not been able to get others interested in coming on and sharing their viewpoints. I really wish they would, so that people could hear things. But that's that's their prerogative. I can't make people do stuff. And then I've had a couple of people like, oh well, I'll see about that. I'll get them on here. I'm like, if you can get them the answer, sure. But I'm not going to make special concessions to anyone. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give people any special treatment. You come on the show, you're equal to anyone else on the server. Whether you're a streamer or non-streamer, it doesn't matter to me. All are equal. So that's I'm putting that out there. So this is even for the freebooters. If Gruffrip cares to step up or even Zorbax, if they wanted to be on the show and share their thoughts, they're welcome to. So long as it's in a constructive manner and it's a legitimate topic. So, and I know a few of you out there in chat right now run with those crews. Ask them. I do these shows every 2 weeks. I'm dead. Yep. Alright guys, I'm going to take a minute and run a short 3-minute ad break to try and kibosh these infernal ads, so bear with me. We'll be right back.
Sigmar's blessings.
Hate when I do that. Alright, guys. Should be back from commercial. Or as I used to watch it on TV, station identification. God damn it, dude. I used to watch those commercials like tons back in the 80s and stuff. Partly because you didn't have a choice. But hopefully you guys are enjoying things so far with the podcast. I'm trying to come up with various things. One of the other topics that I've repeatedly seen, and I'll touch base on this. I'm not going to go too in depth with it simply because it falls under the ability system that's being reworked. A lot of people keep clamoring balance, make changes to the classes. I mean, but a lot of what I see is it's like a 50-50 mix. People that actually take the time to put the thought into it of change, make small tweak changes to a particular class, like the White Line. I've seen some comments about Shadow Warriors, and same with Witch Elves and Witch Hunters. I mean, a lot of the suggestions that people are putting forward or that they're talking about is things that are being worked on as far as with the ability system. So I would say in that regard, be patient. I know it's asking a lot because for so long people have heard it talked about. It takes time. You got to remember the guys that are working on this game is a volunteer crew. They do not do this full time. They can't. They got real lives. They got families to take care of. Or bills to pay. You name it. So, another thing I don't want to shift the topic there. I would say there's some good solid changes coming from what I've seen. There's a limit to what I can say on stream or at all right now. But I will say this, the changes I have seen thus far, I think you guys will be happy with. Or at least I hope you will be. So, I'm not going to go too far into it, simply because it's been talked about and rehashed so many times. It's kind of like the whole Slayer, Rampage, and get to the Choppa abilities. They're easy enough to interrupt. I don't think there's a time yet when I've been on my Slayer when I hit Retribution or Rampage. All it takes is a punt, a silence, a disable, whatever, and that kills it. Then it's rendered, useless. Because it burns the cooldown and you don't do anything. But I suppose the chief question would be is what specific changes are you hoping for them to implement, guys? I mean, what legitimate changes are you looking to be seen to try and balance things? I mean, I've seen stuff about the Marauder, Choppa, White Line, Witch Hunter, Squig, Shaman. So that would be my question to you guys. What changes are you hoping to get made, or what do you think would be good solid changes to see? I know Yamcha steadily goes on about the squig and whatnot. Or he did. Now the only time I ever see him is in various stream chats. And if any of you got questions or ideas you'd like to put forward, I'd love to hear them. Again, that is the point of what I do on these shows, is I try to get you guys to step forward and put ideas out there, things that can be relayed to the devs, or have a chance to have an open platform to have your idea heard, not have somebody sit there and go at you about it. So you got the next few minutes, guys. Floor's open. Any questions? Fire away with them. While I do a little bit of PvP here. Or try to. Let me rephrase that. You normally got tons of ideas there, Cause. Anything you want to bring to the table? He may be stepped away AFK. Sometimes he goes AFK and I don't always know he's there. That's a fair point. It's definitely a fair point on that one. There's a lot of stuff that's been being pinned up there here lately. It's just a lot of it, like you said, gets overlooked because not everybody goes to the forums. There's a lot of people that tell me repeatedly they don't even bother with the forums because there's so much stuff up there. A lot of it's just outdated. And honestly, that's where you need somebody going through deleting old topics, is to help slim down on that, because you got stuff from years ago. I was like, Destro's determined to keep this fight going. We got 2 hours and 12 minutes to the next Land of the Dead, so I got a feeling that's why this is dragging out like it is because they're just waiting for Land of the Dead to get started. Yeah, it's hard to get volunteers. That's one of the things Rubius asked about. If people are willing to step up and help with the graphics team or the dev team, there's a place on the forums to sign up for it. And there's a valid point with that. And I even pointed that out during the podcast. I said, guys, this is your chance. Some of you sit there and prattle on about, oh, well, they don't ever ask the community or they don't listen. It's not it. Not it on any level. If they put the word out that, hey, they're needing help and they're looking for help, and then you choose not to answer, that's on you. You can't sit there and blame it on the devs all the time when they're sitting there telling people, hey, if you have these skills, it would be a big help. A big help. I'm not going to name any names, but I know of 2 different people, both of which have knowledge skills in graphics designing and coding, and they were playing, and instead of stepping up to help, they wanted to sit there and complain about, well, this isn't right, this is so stupid, devs don't know what they're doing. I'm like, well, if you think it's so easy, why don't you step up to the plate and help? And when I called them out about it, they just disappeared. So I'm like, okay, I see how it is. You want to sit there and commentate and run your mouth, but when it comes time to, step up, you don't want to do it. They're going to stay right there by that wall. I do have one legitimate question, because I've also seen some stuff about some complaints about the currency system. What are your thoughts? What do you guys think, all in all, of the universal currency system? Do you think, has it been a big benefit, or has it been a big hindrance? Because I've heard a lot of people say that, well, they should have never changed it. It's just dumb. It was better the old-fashioned way. And then I've heard a lot of people that have enjoyed the new way. So I'm actually kind of curious to hear some people's thoughts and comments on what you think overall of the system now, as opposed to what it once was. But feel free to put your thoughts down there, guys. I mean, that's what I'd like to hear. Or if you have ideas on maybe an addition to the current system, maybe to, add something in, maybe for professions, something, or, another reward in there, or just ideas on what you think might help improve it. I didn't mind it because that's actually how I had to gear my Rune Priest the first time. My Rune Priest, that's how he geared, was getting those Sovereign Crests. It was a pain in the rear end. But then again, I've never minded with the grind. Simply because I've played so many games in the past that were very grindy. Star Wars Online, Star Trek Online, Lord of the Rings Online, EverQuest. Take your pick. I was moving. I'll run back. It'll be easier. Hopefully. And something else that's been touched on in some of the previous podcasts, and I ask this every so often: what would you guys like to see more added, more of in the game? Not necessarily single something out, but what would you like to see for improving small gameplay, even warband gameplay? What changes do you think would be nice to see as far as increasing those play styles? Now keep in mind, it's not a case of you want to show favoritism to small party play versus large group play. because the two really are intertwined. You need both. So what do you guys think would be some ways to kind of improve that? Yeah, that would be a solid idea to have maybe have an add-on to where you could at least the leaders could communicate with one another, or even the war bands themselves, not just solely the leader, because sometimes the leaders don't tend to answer. Oh, like something that broadcasts that say your group's here, so whether they say something or not, you'd know where they were at. Just a general vicinity. That might be a little tricky to do. I mean, it would be a nice idea, but it may be a little tricky to actually implement. Possibilities. I mean, anything's possible. Just depends on if you could write it in such a way to work with the server and not be horribly, unstable. Also, any of you out there in chat land that are interested in being in the show, and then you don't have to be one of the big name people, you could be just an average Joe Schmo. If you're interested in being on the show, again, DMs are open. You can get hold of me through the RoR Discord, here through Twitch, or through the forum boards, because I do actually pay attention to my messages that I get sent. It might be 1 or 2 days before I answer one, but I do look at them. It's always a pain trying to get up there. Yeah, if the healers won't keep me alive, there's nothing I can do as far as burning that oil down. Coming up on the end of the first hour of the podcast, guys. I've had some legitimate questions and some solid ideas put forward. Definitely bear thinking on them. Maybe go a little deeper into those topics. Such as with the cross-faction PvE dungeoning. I mean, AB, if you're still in the chat, or this is addressed to anyone. I mean, what would you guys actually think of that such a system, and what do you think would be a good, some good ways to implement it? And as far as rewards for doing those dungeons, I mean, something else I've seen a lot of people have talked about is adding in more cosmetics. Say for the higher end stuff, you know, trying to think. Almost similar to the transmog system that WoW uses. Maybe do something where you could, like, all you'd have to do is like click on, like, say somebody links something, or you actually see somebody inspect somebody, and you could basically add it to like a transmog library. That way you could change your transmogs out, not actually have to hold on to a particular gear item, but, you know, you'd just be able to open that window once you recorded it, and you'd have it on hand. It could be interesting. Put more guild tokens in the mix, but then with it being cross-faction, you would have to find a way to do it to where anybody could, you know, where you could get the guild tokens either way, because you might not necessarily have a full guild run. It could be, say, 4 people from a guild and then 1 person from the opposite faction. So you'd have to work something out on that front. You could put you could put in, and this might take some effort, but you could put in an independent reward system for those cross-faction runs, like you know, custom skins, you know, like maybe I would say even a custom mount, or access to a custom mount that can only be gotten from, say, doing enough runs to build up the rep to earn it. You know, you don't want to make it easy for somebody to get. You want it to be a challenge. That comment, that's actually been something that I've seen repeated time and again. I've seen people comment endlessly about adding in the Skaven. I've heard talk about the vampires. The 2 chief ones is Skaven and vampires. The vampire counts. That would be interesting to have those races added in as playable classes. You know, who knows? Maybe they could do like a subcategory for chaos. That's not something they're going to add in the Warhammer Fantasy Universe. It'd have to be from one of the races of the Warhammer Fantasy Universe, not 40k. How you doing, Slasher Boys? That would be an interesting concept. Lizardman, definitely. Figure if I'm gonna die, I might as well die right there where I'm close enough the healer should res me. Emphasis on should, don't mean they have to. But yeah, that would be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing the Skaven added in as a playable class. Definitely the vampire counts, I think would definitely be interesting. Lizardmen, sure. What I would really love to see in this, and I will stand by this, if they ever add in Chaos Dwarves, that you will see me switch to Chaos Dwarves. That is the only way I will ever actually truly play Destro, is as a Chaos Dwarf, and that is it. If they ever added in the Chaos Dwarves as a playable faction, playable race, I'd be all about it. And I honestly wish they would add in some of the other races. Well, I just got told that they have officially started moving. I didn't know that they were loading up the vehicles to start moving boxes over to the new house. So here I am, and I was supposed to be trying to help with that. So I'm probably gonna be. I may have to cut the podcast just a little bit short, guys, because we are in this, moving bits kind of gonna take precedence on that. But yeah, I do. Yeah, well, you've already sort of got the wood elves in a way there kind of look with the shadow warriors. I'm not going anywhere just yet, AB. They're just fixing to leave with a load of boxes, so it's gonna be a little bit, and then I'll catch them on the next one, and I'll tag along and go over there and help them unload stuff. I may see about getting some of these computers moved over to the new house so I can at least get them sorted and it'll get them out from down here. And we just got hammered. But yeah, I would honestly, any one of those races would be nice to see. And you can, I mean, it's a possibility of something they could try to implement. I definitely think it warrants, investigating to see if it's possible. Even if they had the biggest trick is if it's something that they could actually implement. That's also true. There's the fact that Games Workshop could step in and say no, because they do have their foot on the neck of this game still. "18 units placed." Let's go ahead and do a Stream Raider battle while we got an opportunity, guys. Appreciate everybody throwing in units. Let's go to it. I wouldn't mind seeing the ogres as a playable race either. Even dragon ogres like Shoggoth would be nice. And if you know any of the lore about him, he is an absolute monster among the dragon of his species, which there's not that many of his kind left in the world. And if you don't know the lore, dragon ogres are just what they sound like. They are a cross between ogres and dragons. And they are an ancient race. They are literally as old as the dragons themselves. But there's very few of them. And while they were in their long slumbers, if I remember the lore behind it, they were slowly corrupted by chaos. What's wrong, cuz? You don't like fighting a monster that's essentially the size of a small mountain? That has a big warhammer mallet that he swings around like a guillotine and cleaves people in two? Well, let me rephrase that. He don't even cleave them in two. He swings that warhammer that he wields, and it literally, there's nothing left except the blood stain. That's it. Yeah, that can be a bit annoying. So, all in all, guys, a lot of solid ideas have been discussed. I mean, I know it's, as some people say, well, you hadn't really discussed too much. Normally, I have more people on the show so we can kind of debate things and hear different multiple perspectives on things. But again, sometimes it's just me talking about various different things or trying to, strike up different conversations, see what you guys think, what ideas you want to put forward. Uh, I definitely like the idea of adding, new playable races. If that's a thing or if it's even possible, it would be nice. Who knows? It might be something down the road that they could look into, which is why I'll make sure that I highlight that particular aspect of the video so that the devs can, watch it and kind of, tinker with it and see, well, is it something we could actually do maybe down the road, or maybe we could adapt it, something in game, maybe, or even go with putting in gear that's modeled after the vampire counts that you can actually get, cosmetics. Or even better, get you an item that would allow you to stay in rat form or take on the appearance of said race, even if you're a choppa or a marauder or that, or whatever, as long as it's appropriate to within that race. Like for chaos, you could put in a cosmetic skin that could maybe reskin you and make you look like a chaos dwarf. Or you would just simply take the take the Dowie and give them a little cosmetic skin to make them look like a chaos dwarf. You'd still be on order, but you'd be running around with the look of a chaos dwarf. I know it sounds screwy, but it would be interesting to see. It really would. With some of it, see how it actually plays out. It's no problem. But I do think I am going to wrap things up here, though, guys. I am going to have to cut it a little early, a lot shorter than I planned, because, like I said, we are moving, and that takes precedence. Hopefully, within the next couple of days, we'll be moved over to the new house, and then I'll be able to show you guys some stuff and whatnot. Let me see who I have to raid. Again, guys, the video from this will be posted up on my YouTube. I will try to put a link under content creators, a couple of different places. I'll try to timestamp some stuff. That way you guys know, hey, listen in on this particular section of it, and then, you could comment on it later. It depends on how you want to do things. Let's see who we have to raid in the RoR community, though, shall we? We got enough. We got a couple of people. You know what? Here's a person to raid, guys. I try to raid Order and Destro just so people can see different perspectives of things. Let's go pay this person a visit, shall we? Il Chewy. And I will catch you guys on the next episode. I'm going to try and reach out to some more band leaders and stuff, but I will see you next time, guys.